Good morning, good morning, good morning. We are back for another episode of the Buckeye Roast. It's your boy Ron James of Best Damn Media here with my guy QP Ski. Q, how you doing?
Yeah, the tireder side of best day of media, but I'm here.
We had the day off yesterday. If you guys missed it, me, Mike, and Terry had an interview with Duke Pettijohn, a father of five-star Ohio State linebacker commit Riley Pettijohn. So if you missed that, be sure to check that out on the channel. We recorded that last night. Shout out to Mike for having me join them for that big interview. So that was super dope. So if you missed that, be sure to check that out. Q, did you get the chance to check it out?
Yeah, I was watching last night in the shadows. It was a good interview quality. He gave some answers. You got to learn about his background a bit, and Riley Pettijohn coming up. So if you missed it, definitely go check it out.
Absolutely. Be sure to check that out. We are joined by another special guest today. But before we get to him, a big shout out to Emily in the chat, the first one in here this morning. Good morning to you. A shout out to Johnny. We see you in the chat as well. If you're watching on Twitter, make sure you go ahead and like and retweet that video. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you smash that like button. But today we are joined by a familiar face. I couldn't help but continue to answer his comments in the chat on Monday after the loss. He had plenty to say. You may know him from Dawg's Film Room right here on this channel. We have our guy Dawg on the line to talk about the Ohio State loss to Oregon. Dawg, how you doing?
What's going on, man? I'm doing all right. Appreciate y'all for having me.
Oh, no problem. Appreciate you joining us. I wanted to get you on here because I know you have a great football mind. You see the game in a different way, definitely way better than I do. You do a great job breaking down the film. So I just wanted to get your just general thoughts before we dive into anything specific. Like, how you feeling 4 days after this loss?
Contrary to probably what people were expecting, I'm actually not in panic mode. I'm not in crash and burn mode. I feel like we saw a great ball game between two teams that are pretty evenly matched from a talent standpoint. I don't feel like we looked overmatched at any point in the game. I felt very like I felt like we were very poised and under control. Just a few bad breaks that, what I'm saying, didn't go our way. We lost by a point on the road in a tough environment. So I'm not in crash and burn mode. I feel like, as long as this team stay focused, which I think they will, then we'll be able to finish out the season and ultimately, compete and probably win a conference, hopefully win a conference like we hoped to at the beginning of the year.
What did you see specifically that's giving you that type of hope to back up off the ledge? I was there on Monday, but I've definitely backed off a bit, and I've heard a lot of people like you give that type of perspective as far as hey, everything's still in front of the Buckeyes. Like, yes, everybody wanted to win that game, but as far as the goals that they set before the season, all of them are still possible. What positives did you see from that game that you're taking forward as a reason to be hopeful for the direction that this team is going?
Yeah, I think first things first, obviously what everybody in the offseason and leading up to this game considered as the mark was the quarterback position and Will Howard and the quarterback play and how he would play in these big time games. And I thought he played excellent, to be honest. Not just from a stat line standpoint, but just from like a control of the game standpoint. He had a few mistakes. I don't think any of them were absolute killers. The last play, I mean, that is what it is. I felt like ultimately he did what he, could or what he had to do to put us in field goal range on that drive. Like I said, just a couple of bad breaks that didn't go our way ultimately at the end. So that's first things first. I thought Will Howard played great, no turnovers. He looked very poised out there. He never looked rattled in that environment. So that's one. And then two, just the attitude from the team this year. It doesn't seem like they're sunken or like they were in a bad spot after the game either. Like I said, I don't feel like we were ever overmatched at any point in that game where it was just like just an outright like domination, or I don't think we could do anything to fight back on the other end. So that's number two. And then I just know what we have. I know what we have in the building. I know what we put out on the field. I trust in our coaching staff, regardless of, we do have some things that I feel like we do need to clean up. But ultimately, I trust us, like I said, to if they keep their eyes and their heads and their minds on winning the conference first, I think everything else will take care of itself.
You talked about knowing what the Buckeyes have. Quinshon Judkins had an uncharacteristic fumble in that game. It felt like the Buckeyes abandoned the run early. What type of confidence do you still have in this running back room? And do you feel like the Buckeyes abandoned the run too early in that game versus Oregon?
I don't have any problems with I don't have any issue with the running back room. I feel like they'll be good going forward. I got the utmost confidence in them. I wouldn't say we abandoned the run. To be honest, the injuries on the offensive line, I felt like more so fed into that because I think Trey's big plays happened maybe a drive or two right after Judkins' fumble. So I don't feel like we abandoned it. I feel like the injuries eventually Oregon, and you got to give credit to their D line as well. You know what I mean? So like I said, that is a talented team as well, and they play good. So just the penetration that they were able to get on some of the downs that we did run and kind of put us behind the sticks or put us in a position where we had to maybe go for it on fourth down or didn't convert third and shorts. Like I think they got timely stops. That's the term I'm looking for, rather so than we abandon it. And the injuries, I think, caused us to kind of alter what our initial game plan was. But like I said, Will Howard was playing well, so I didn't feel like at any point like we were just throwing the ball too much and we should have ran it. We just weren't as successful as we were early in the game.
If Justin Fry is able to manage to get the Buckeyes through this season with the injuries that we've seen off the offensive line, the questions that we had about the offensive line coming into the season, does he get a pass from you? It seemed like he's started to pick up the recruiting there towards the end of the cycle, grabbing McFarland there towards the end, still in the battle for some flips. Offensive line was playing well coming into this game. I mean, they only gave up one sack, having two injuries at the offensive line. Tegra went out for a little bit. We lost Josh Simmons. Do you give Josh Fry a pass if he's able, or Justin Fry a pass if he's able to manage to keep this line together and get through this season?
I mean, I wouldn't even call it necessarily a pass. Whenever you are able to make do with less than what you originally planned, I think ultimately that shows a good coaching job. We nitpick a lot. I feel like myself included. So, like you said, our offensive line was playing really well coming into this game. So, and we only gave up one sack, and it ultimately didn't have to be a sack. Will slipped down. I think he might have gotten out of it, honestly. But so I feel like they did play really well in the passing game as far as protecting the quarterback. I feel like Chip Kelly does also do a good job of protecting our offensive line and kind of making that not so much of a weakness with the play calling in a way that we were able to get the ball out quick and get our playmakers out in the space rather than just asking Will to 5-step, 7-step drop every play and drop back and throw. So I think it's not just the Justin Fry job; it's the offense as a whole. As long as they're able to, like I said, keep clicking and able to have play calls to where our offensive line isn't just sitting ducks and ask to do more than what we think they can, then I think we'll be fine.
Bet. Hugh?
Yeah, I'll ask one more question on the offside of ball, and then we can move over to the defense. A lot of people took to Twitter and saw that stat from Jim Knowles and him giving up drives in the fourth quarter. But what was passed over is Ryan Day's offense in the fourth quarter in these big time games. If you go to those same games, the Michigans, the Georgia, and now this Oregon game, no touchdowns, either punts or field goals to the end of this game. Does the offense closing out games worry you at all down the stretch?
I mean, it's hard to say it doesn't, because I would like to get touchdowns. I feel like in a lot of these situations, rather than field goals, I felt like had we got a touchdown on that drive where we took the lead in the fourth, that would have been, that would have been that would have gave us a lot of momentum and it gave the defense a little room to breathe as well. Because when you really look at it, the defense, they did get up a lot of big plays. In the red zone, they were very good. I think Oregon got to the goal line like 3 or 4 times and only got in the chalk once. I think we got a goal line stand. We forced a field goal. And I'm not sure. Like I said, I think it was 3 or 4 times, so I'm not sure. I have to go back and look. But it does because, like I said, you would like to get the defense as much breathing room as possible, converting those drives into touchdowns rather than field goals.
Yeah, I think the total was 2 total field goals in all 4 of those games. But I will move to the defense. We'll start with some stats for you. Dylan Gabriel on 15+ yard passes against Ohio State on Saturday. 6 of 7, 220 passing yards, a touchdown, no interceptions, 94.5 passing grade. If grades are your thing, I want to ask you, as far as BIA goes, are you concerned? I mean, Denzel Burke, we've never seen him really get beat before. He obviously has a bad game, but almost zero adjustments, it seemed like. And Dylan Gabriel was kind of able to do what he wants. Just from the BIA side, you concerned with these DBs going forward?
Um, I don't think I'm concerned with them individually. I think Denzel, that's honestly that's my favorite player in the secondary. And as somebody that played DB, I know this is gonna sound crazy to say, but it's you have days where you know what I'm saying. I think it's a confidence thing though more than anything, and I think as long as he is able to maintain his confidence from a standpoint of being who he has been up to this point, because that's like I got that question a lot. Like, has he ever had a game like this? And I'm telling people like, no, we've never seen him have a game this bad. You know what I mean? So I think as long as he can maintain the confidence that he's had up to this level going forward, then he'll be fine. As a unit, I'm just more so. I want us to be more ball hawks, if anything. That's the main thing that I want. Like, I would have liked to see somebody make a play, whether it be on that last drive or throughout some point in the game. We got 5, 6, 7 guys on the defense getting NIL deals. Somebody's got to make $1 million play. You know what I mean? We got all these $1 million players. Somebody got to make $1 million play. And that's not all on coaching. I saw a lot of blame being put on Jim Knowles, which obviously you're going to get some blame scheme wise. However, players are on the field and they still have to make plays at the end of the day. So you have to put accountability on both. I feel like our coaches did put players in position, and a lot of times we just didn't make the plays necessary. So I feel like the blame goes a little bit both ways. However, like I said, I think going forward, as long as they can maintain their confidence, then we should be fine.
Yeah, I will ask for the safeties as well. I know they've kind of gotten to bye maybe in this game because Denzel Burke had a bad game, but you saw Lathan Ransom miss a lot of tackles. Caleb Downs, we've seen him kind of down this 2-3 game stretch here, kind of really insert himself, and he was pretty quiet. We see him make a few tackles, but not too much. Obviously, relying on what we thought was the best safety tandem in the country. Do you have any thoughts on the safeties and how they played in general?
Like I said, that when I said playmakers got to make plays, those are two of the guys that I feel like need to make plays on this defense. I feel like they did game plan a lot to go away from Caleb. We don't have him in a on the line of scrimmage role like he played more so.
Dawg, you still there?
I think we lost Dawg there. We will wait to see if he comes back. In regards to the safety play, a lot has been made about them. People have suggested maybe the safety play has taken a step back. I wanted to get your thoughts there, Q. Do you feel like the safety room is missing Perry Eliano?
I mean, it's hard to say so far. I was going to ask Dawg, but in general, I think this is kind of the first game where we've noticed the safeties haven't played extremely well. I mean, I thought Lathan Ransom was playing at an All-American level, definitely the first few games, and then Caleb Downs was like, don't forget, I'm here too. So coming into this game, I think you even felt maybe even more confident than in the corners. The safeties were playing extremely well, and they were ready to go. In this game, obviously, they were challenged a little bit. Like you said, Caleb Downs wasn't as close to the line of scrimmage, but we saw Lathan Ransom a lot. But he didn't miss a lot of tackles going into this game. I mean, maybe not a lot, but the ones he did miss, we felt definitely with Jordan James running for almost 5 yards a carry. So I mean, we will see as it goes forward. I mean, I think all of BIA has definitely got to level up their game, and I would love to see Caleb Downs. I mean, we talked about, and we will touch on it in a minute, the pass rush. I thought maybe if your guys are getting home on the edge. I mean, Caleb Downs is a really good blitzing safety. Him and Jordan Hancock have been two that have been used in the blitz game to kind of fire up quarterbacks, and we didn't really see that at all. I mean, we've sent, Sonny Styles, we sent Cody Simon, and these guys, they just weren't able to get home. I was really surprised that Knowles didn't tap into the safeties and maybe send those guys because we obviously understand those two are really good blitzers. So I am a little bit surprised by that. But overall, I'm not worried about the safeties necessarily. I mean, I think the whole entire secondary will have a level up here, definitely in the next few games. And then we will see when we go to Penn State where they'll have to be really good. But I think I'll be comfortable with them going forward unless I see more evidence that their play continues to deteriorate. What about you?
I feel like I'm still in a wait and see mode. For the most part, it felt like Caleb Downs was coming on until that game. It felt like Lathan Ransom was playing well up until that game. So definitely in wait and see mode there, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on there as far as the safety room because they were playing at a high level, and I would say that was a position of strength. I just feel like there's a lot of looking around as far as everybody wants to find somewhere to put blame after this game because, I mean, I saw a lot of talk on the timeline going into this game. I couldn't remember the last time the Buckeye fan base was so confident about a top 5, top 10 matchup going into the game. And it did feel like that. And I felt like I drank the Kool-Aid. And now a lot of people are looking around for a reason to justify why they were wrong going into that game. And I feel like a lot of people are catching blame for it. But at the end of the day, it was a hard fought loss against. And I feel like more than anything coming away from this game, the thing that I took away the most was more than being wrong about our team. I couldn't have been more wrong about Oregon and the team that they have. And I do think that they're a better team than they get credit for to this point.
I mean, yeah, everybody talks about, like I said, the Ohio State $20 million roster and all the players we look at. If people remember, I think they just put it in the back of their minds. Oregon was the hot team in the portal. I mean, they tore the portal up really early, getting players in. And even going back to last year, we saw the right tackle that they pulled in from Rhode Island, and he was an absolute dude on Saturday. So you marry him with Darren Harmon and Dylan Gabriel and Evan Stewart and all these guys. They were there last year. Like they had a really good team. And I think mid-season last year, we talked about how good they were. You just throw those guys in there. So I think this Oregon team, if you talk about talent, inquiry, they've been just as good as Ohio State, if not better, in this offseason because we really only got a couple guys out the portal. They're just big names.
Absolutely. I wanted to get to this super chat. Shout out to our guy, Mike Green. Thanks for the 5. Hey, did you guys ask Riley's dad yesterday how did he take the loss last weekend? I'm just curious on the temperature of these recruits. We did not. Shout out to Mike for having me on the Fans Edge last night for that interview. Again, if you guys missed that, we did an interview with Duke Petitjean, father of 5-star linebacker and Ohio State commit Riley Petitjean. We didn't talk about last week's game at all on that episode. We felt that there was enough people talking about that game in different places, and I know Buckeyes fans have a long way to go until the Buckeyes play again and can give them some feel good. So we wanted to keep a lighthearted interview during the middle of the week and give people something as Buckeye fans to enjoy some Buckeye content without dwelling in this loss. And I think it's a perfect time to bring up another guest. I wanted to thank Dawg for joining us today. He had to jump abruptly, but he's going to be back on the show here in the next couple of weeks. But I did want to bring our guy Cleveland Mike up here. Mike, how you doing?
Doing good. Thank you for having me, fellas. How we doing?
Pretty good, man. How you feeling coming off the interview after a day later, your reflection on it? How'd you think it went? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, definitely enjoyed it. I think that like you were saying earlier, man, I think it was something that the Buckeye fans needed, man. And I know a lot of people seem like, hey, are they worried about it? Are they are they considered decommitting? And that's not the type of vibes that I got, especially us asking like the questions about, what separated Ohio State, about James Laurinaitis. And the big thing that I took out of that was like the dad, Duke Petitjean, saying, hey, me and James Laurinaitis see the game the same way. Like we relate a lot, to the way the game is supposed to be played and what it takes to get you to the next level. And I think that is what sold the dad. I think that's also what sold Riley. And it was funny because I thought, like, I don't know if you saw his face, but I think he was kind of shocked when I had brought up Riley's favorite schools, right? He was a little shocked when I brought that up because the only way you would have known that is if you have been probably watching Riley for over a year now. And his favorite schools is LSU and Georgia, man. I mean, his dad went into why they're not going to Georgia and everything. And I mean, to be honest, it sounded like LSU's kind of out the picture, but those were his favorite schools, and he was able to, get away from that. So.
Yeah, man, that was a super dope opportunity and interview. That was super glad to be involved in that. But I wanted to talk a little bit more about the Buckeyes today. I was telling Dawg when he was on here, I have walked back off of the ledge a bit since the game. What new perspective have you found since the game, Mike? And how are you dealing with the loss?
Hey, when you count out all of the mistakes and everything, it's like, did you expect that? Here's the thing. One thing that I knew going on the road, we couldn't, afford any mistakes, right? And the fact that we had multiple mistakes and still lost by 1 point, like you can go back, hey, the fumble, the onside kick, like just the different mistakes. I think if these guys lock in, like now you're not going to be told that you're the greatest. Like I think there's a mentality shift, and we talked about this on the post game, or I talked about this on the post game. There's only two options that you have as a team. Now you're not told that you're the greatest. You're not told anything. You have to either take the challenge and be a better team, or you can cower away in the corner. Which one is this team going to do? I think that they're going to answer the bell. All season they've been told $20 million roster, nobody can beat them, and stuff like that. You could say, hey, I'm not paying attention to that, but you guys were paying attention to that. And now I feel like, hey, they got their back against the wall. It's time to put up or shut up, man.
Yeah, definitely will see that, Mike. I think it's probably the first time we've talked on camera about the game since then. I want to ask you a couple of questions. We're gonna throw Dawg these hard balls, but he dipped out, so you'll get them. So I got a question for you. Definitely, me and Ron have talked about the pass rush and coming in the head between Larry Johnson and Jim Knowles. It absolutely felt like there wasn't really any pass rush on Saturdays. I was just talking a minute ago how even the safeties weren't involved in the blitz game. What do we do there? I just feel like if we leave any quarterback with any time that's Dylan Gabriel, as good as he played, they're going to have a chance to really light us up. Do you see any changes come forward? Anything you like to see that can apply some pressure? Because it was really non-existent.
Yeah. When it's 3rd and 9, don't drop all D linemen and only rush 2. Like definitely that's something. I think the finesse part of the game or whatever, the finesse calls that we did have, don't do that. Allow the guys to go back and play. I want to say I don't know if I was talking to Ron or who I was talking to, but I was like, man, I remember back when Greg Schiano was the defensive coordinator and he was trying to do a lot of finesse stuff. And I remember Larry Johnson yelling at that man, like, let my guys play. Let them get after the ball carrier, right? And so that's something that I do want to see. Like, let the guys who's supposed to be able to go after the quarterback go to the quarterback. Don't just rush 2. I do want to see us bring more pressure because in that game, like Dylan Gabriel in the clean pocket was damn near perfect versus being pressured. He wasn't perfect. So.
Most definitely. And I also too want to ask, there was a lot of, this has been your calling card since maybe the show started of rotation. We really saw it tighten up. Maybe a little bit more as a tight end got hurt on offense, but on defense, no Jermaine Matthews, barely any Arvell Reese. We did see the Rushman package, but we didn't go deep on the defensive line. And obviously guys burned out at the end of the game. What is your answer to that? I think at this point we've all felt comfortable with these guys, and I think they've proven on the field they can make plays, but we go to Oregon and it's like, forget all that. It's a big time game. Let's sure it up. So what's your overall thoughts with the lack of rotation Saturday?
Yeah, it's the lack of rotation isn't mirroring what our head coach is saying, right? You want to go and win the game in the 4th quarter, but your guys aren't ready because they're dog tired. You know what I'm saying? Like K-Mac, he should definitely be getting more snaps. And we've been talking about this in the first 3 games. You had cupcakes so that you could get these guys ready, the young guys ready to show that you have the depth. You just see guys out there tired, and then also with the tempo that was going on, they were burnt out. So we definitely need to see more rotation on the defensive line, especially at D tackle. K-Mac needs to play more. And also, like, Arvell Reese only getting single-digit snaps. Like,
He got 4.
and yeah, and then like you talked about, Jermaine not getting out there. I think preseason we were like, hey, he should be damn near close to the starters when we talk about snap count. And you even, like I said in our post game, you've seen recruits tweeting out, how is your freshman All-American not getting on the field? That is kind of alarming, man.
I got a couple super chats I want to get to real quick. Q, before we move on. Our guy Mike Green, thanks for the 2. I do feel Jim Knowles needs to go, in my opinion. Your guys' thoughts there?
No. I mean, I did Jim Knowles, and I've defended Jim Knowles on the fence for years now. I mean, one, I don't know what's going on with him, Ryan Day, and Larry Johnson. I feel like he's not being as creative as he can be. But if you look at this defense, they've had us pretty much in all these games. I understand it's not the closeout you want. Things get tight in the fourth quarter. They haven't gotten a lot of stops. They've given up some points, but I feel like we've been in every game, and both the offense and defense have had chances to win these games, and none of them have had. But I'm definitely still riding with this Jim Knowles defense. I think it's done a good enough job, but I do feel like it needs to improve.
I'll say this, man. It's hard for me to want to fire the second defensive coordinator for being brought in here and not running their defense, right? And the first coordinator I'm talking about is Kerry Coombs. You know, I understood why he had to go. I mean, there were some basic things that weren't being done, but we were asking him to run the one high defense. I seen reporters even ask Jeff Hafley back when he was coaching at Boston College. He said, hey, what do you think is going on with the Ohio State defense? He said, I think that you're asking someone who's never ran this defense to run it. Jim Knowles has not ran this type of defense. If you go watch film, this is not the defense that he put out at Oklahoma State or even back to Duke, right? And you can say, oh, we could blame Jim Knowles, right? But when you have your whole defensive line dropping back in coverage, you're telling me that you can't treat one of those defensive ends, one of those edge rushers, like he's the Jack or Leo or whatever, because you're dropping them in coverage anyways, right? So, I mean, I think that this is coming from the top down. The reason why we're not seeing a Jim Knowles defense is because of Ryan Day. How can I mean, like I said, and I think we've all said is the scheme for Jim Knowles in 2022 was good. I just felt like we didn't have the Jimmies and Joes. You had a Cam Martinez. Is Jordan Hancock better than Cam Martinez? I believe so. Is Ronnie Hickman out there better than Caleb Downs? I don't think so. I think Caleb Downs is better, right? Is Iggy better than Cam Brown? I believe so. I think that it was just a major overcorrection on the defense, and I think that we need to get back to that 2022 defense where Jim Knowles said, hey, we're coming here to play offense on defense and make these offenses or whatever do what we dictate. And we haven't seen that since 2022.
Yeah, I agree. And there's no reason, I mean, no offense to Tommy Eichenberg, but there's no reason we should feel him more in the blitz game than the athletes we currently have on the roster. Like, I mean, he's a really good blitzer, but you should be feeling Sonny Styles and Cody Simon, Arvell Reese, CJ Hicks, Gay Powers, go through the line and really get after the quarterback. And I just feel like he's asking those guys maybe to do some stuff they're not comfortable with. And you saw Sonny Styles, what he got in his natural position, what he can do. So scheme to their strengths and keep going.
I'm just glad the one positive that I can take away from this loss is that people are finally understanding the value of Tommy Eichenberg. May not be the fastest, may not be the hardest hitting, but he's going to be where you expect him to be at the very least.
Tommy.
Shout out to our guy, Tommy Heismanberg. Another super chat I wanted to get to. Shout out to our guy, Cam Thomas. Thanks for the 5. DG is the most experienced QB of all time, number 3 all time in yards, and we went on the road and battled. The sky isn't falling. We'll see them again. Are you guys to that point where you no longer, well, I don't know if you guys were ever even there. I was definitely in skies falling mode. I am the overreactor out of the three of us. Were you guys there with Cam as far as the sky is not falling and the Buckeyes can beat them if they see them again?
I'll say definitely in the Big Ten supremacy game going forward. I mean, this one does hurt. I mean, it does look like Oregon can now come in and compete, and maybe the Big Ten runs through Oxford. We'll see by the end of the season. But I mean, no, I mean, usually we are the team that makes it through, and another team gets to lose a game and learn from their mistakes and come back and see us at the end of the season and be more of a better version of themselves. I mean, this is again the first time we've lost mid-season, and we lost a couple games early, and we've lost either late. But this is a good time to kind of readjust yourselves. It's a bye week, and we'll see if this team is really made of what we think they are. So no, I believe we will see them again. Let's get through these couple of games, and then we'll look at this Big Ten championship in Michigan and get things done. So I'm still confident going forward.
Yeah, man. I mean, you definitely should be confident going forward. I mean, obviously, you got some worries on the offensive line. You know, your best tackle goes down. So, you know, like I said earlier, you know, this team has two choices to make, and it's all about which one of those two choices they pick. You know, and I think we'll see it in Nebraska. You go out there, you shut Nebraska down or whatever. They're going to take some deep shots on Denzel Burke. If we see adjustments and everything, the sky is not falling. If we don't see adjustment, man, yeah, you can go ahead and hit the panic bells. But I think we should see adjustments. I think that the leaders on this team should definitely step up in a big way as well. Heard that they have. We'll just see if the team can apply it.
Absolutely. A shout out to our guy Mike Green again for the 5. Well, he runs a 3-4, and that's a mistake to hire him when we run a 4-2 because of LJ, which hints the issue between the two. I mean, that is the core of the issue between the two. But at the end of the day, that is Ryan Day who gets paid $10 million to manage his staff, and that's his job to step in between them and sort this out. He hired Jim Knowles to come run his defense. Not Ryan Day's defense, Jim Knowles' defense. And Jim Knowles ceded control to Larry Johnson. Ryan Day allowed it to happen. Ryan Day continues to allow it to happen. And, I mean, shout out to LJ, I guess, because, I mean, he's letting them hang in the Woody because it's 2 years straight, not 3 years straight, that it seems like LJ's running the show. When it comes to things over there, Ryan Day had to we know there were some disputes about rotations earlier in the year between LJ and Ryan. We know it's been a battle about this jack position as Larry Johnson wants two traditional defensive ends. So it seems like LJ continues to win this battle, and he's going to continue to win this battle. And I don't think in the middle of the season you're going to see that. I don't think it was a mistake necessarily hiring Knowles because of the scheme. I think it was more of a mistake of Ryan Day not being in a position in his head coaching tenure to feel comfortable telling LJ, a legend at his position, that, hey, no, we're doing things different around here. I want you here, but we have to do them these ways. And Ryan Day's losing that battle. And of those three that are having this argument, LJ, my money's on him because he's been winning the battle for 3 straight years, and it doesn't look like he's about to lose it now. So I think you hit the nail on the head there. But I think this does come down to LJ and no one being able to tell him what to do.
I think everybody is quick to blame LJ, but you got to think about this, right?
I'm not blaming LJ. I'm giving him credit.
I think this, like, what did Jack Sawyer and JTT, what did they come back for? They were obviously promised something, right? And I go back to Justin Hill's interview, right? When he was asked about the jack position and stuff, he told us flat out, we aren't going to see it this year because they have JTT and Jack. That's what he was told straight up. They never had any plans of playing that position this year. He told us. I tried to tell everybody, we're not seeing it. Go back and watch that interview. He was just as raw. That's how I knew he wasn't coming to Ohio State, because they said it. You're not even going to see it. And my whole thing is I know a lot of people on the timeline is blaming Larry Johnson. But I don't think that falls on Larry Johnson, bro. I think that's a Ryan Day. Ryan Day talked to all of these guys who came back. You think Jack Sawyer said, yeah, I'm coming back to go ahead and run that gymno system. Only 3 of us down linemen. You think Jack Sawyer came here for that as well? No. Or JTT, you told him to move him inside. That's not what he came here for. That's what he was worried about going to the other schools, having to move inside and things like that. That's why he came to Ohio State, because he was promised something.
Yeah, I think it's a couple things here. One, I don't understand how this. I think it's really a 4-2 to a 3-3. The way Knowles lines it up and moving that fourth guy on the defensive line either back into the linebacker room. I don't know why that is so hard to have the guy be that flexible, because he's done it with basically defensive ends. So I don't know why that's difficult. And two, I mean, LJ, yeah, you want to run your 4 down lineman, but we just seen it. We seen you put the 4 defensive ends on the field and get 0 pressure. Guys could not get to the quarterback. Guys could not win 1-on-1. So you can win in the I want 4 defensive linemen, but you better sure get pressure. If you do not get pressure, that's up to a head where it's like, you got to change. Because if I put 5 defensive ends on the field, I still don't know if you're going to get pressure. So, I mean, you can win that battle, but you have to win the job, and he's winning the battle without winning the job, and that is hurting this team. So I certainly expect a change, especially we have now proof that these guys cannot win 1-on-1 on a consistent basis.
Yeah, man, it's disappointing. A lot of high hopes for this defensive line, and to see them, it felt like they were getting swallowed in the belly buttons of the offensive tackles of Oregon. I saw a couple highlights of Jack struggling to get around the edge, and the Buckeyes are going to have to come up with some sort of answer there as far as a pass rush, because there's no way they can let quarterbacks sit back there as long as they did this past game. We are right. Go ahead.
I say, if I'm not wrong, I think the only person on Saturday that looked explosive in the pass rush game is Ron's guy, Sonny Styles, who he said should be playing on edge anyways. It was just me, or was he the only one that you felt like won on Saturday and made Dylan Gabriel just move?
It's frustrating because it feels like the Buckeyes finally, we talked all season leading up to that game. The only concern that I have is Sonny Styles. He's the biggest concern on the defense. He plays his best game, and now we have 9 other concerns on defense. And it's like, how did we get here? We can't have nice things around here, Q. I have one more super chat before we get out of here, because we're running a little tight on time. Shout out to our guy Thomas Ridley thanks for the 5. We have to play chess and counter scout. Who's their fastest guy on offense and match up smartly, minimize vulnerabilities? I feel like we've been asking.
It was a second half adjustment that we just didn't make, right? Because I think that we have some guys who could have kept up with that speed or whatever and had makeup speed if they got beat. But I mean, that to be honest, what you're talking about, Thomas, that's a second half adjustment, my God. Like, that should have been happening.
And our guy, and I know Mike's sitting there like, I know we got the speed. We definitely got plenty of Glenville kids on the roster.
Yeah.
And Mike said, there's 20 kids. There's 20 kids in Glenville faster than the fastest kid in the country. So just get one of those Glenville kids out there, and they'll be able to put a stop to that, man. The chat was absolutely booming today. They were booming last night. We appreciate you guys supporting the Duke Petitjean interview. We appreciate you guys showing up for today. A big shout out to our guy Dawg for joining us on this episode. A big thank you for Mike for jumping in after doing such an excellent interview last night. Q.
Yeah, Ron, I got one more for you before we get out of here. After you just made me think about how we're terrible at personnel matching, but we got a rule change in. The NCAA has now changed the loophole.
The landing law.
So you cannot put 12 men on the field and just take a 5-yard penalty with no dead ball and losing time. So just want to get your reaction to that. A couple days after that cost us in a big time game.
I was getting ready to say that he's no longer a fraud after that game, but I don't think he did that on purpose. Everybody patting him on the back, telling him, he's so fucking smart. Oh, like, bro, everybody knows, like, you throw up that bullshit 3-pointer at the end of the game and it hits the backboard and goes in, and it's like, yeah, I call bank in my head, like, sure, I guess if you say so. Like, I'm not going. I think that he got bailed out there. He had the opportunity to be another Marcus Freeman in that moment, and I do think the lights were pretty big for him, and he got away with it. And maybe the Buckeyes will get away with it, or one day take advantage of a mistake like that. So. Huh?
Can we cheat for once?
Nah, bro. I think he did it. I think he did it on purpose, but that loophole is not, to me, is not closed, because it says like it's not really a freaking penalty or allows you time on the clock if the player is running off the field. So instead of just, hey, let me push you onto the field or whatever, hey, let's just fake like we running off the field now. And I mean, so to me, the loophole is still there. But I did want to say, guys, I don't think, after hearing what I heard yesterday and the opportunities of what Riley Pettijohn could be playing, I don't think that y'all should give up on the jack position.
Yeah, it sounds like we definitely do have the talent and the skill coming in to play that role. And yeah, if you didn't check out that interview, Riley's father had some interesting things to say. So make sure that you check that out. One more super chat before we get out of here. Not sure what
That's one of my coworkers.
Well, see, I was extra confused because the first time I read that was as Doreen. And now I'm reading it and understand what it means, and I wouldn't have put it on the screen. But shout out to you. You will see Darian at work. Whoever that guy is. I don't know Darian, but I bet he's going to work today.
My boy Derek Huggins, he always gives me crap about Michigan winning. So is
this the guy that talks crap in the parking lot?
No, but he does it. He does in the office. How you feel about that Michigan the last 3 years? Yo, I can't wait.
We appreciate D-Hug for tuning into the show, and we hope that he doesn't give whoever this Darian guy is too much trouble.
Whoever that is.
Yeah, whoever that is. But man, what a great show, man. It's been an awesome week despite not an awesome game on Saturday. So I'm glad that we've been able to put together a cool week of content, man. Appreciate everybody who has joined us, whether that be in the chat or on the show. We got a special guest tomorrow, and our guy Pat Cahill to round out the week of guests. Shout out to Pat. And yeah, fellas, let the people know where they can find you, man. I'm over here struggling, bro. I'm so tired. This morning, it felt like during this episode, I haven't felt like this since high school because, bro, I used to be in first period with anvils tied to my eyes, trying to keep my eyes open in high school. I was that kid sleeping in first period every day. So, man, still as a full adult, these mornings are still kicking my ass. Q, Mike, let the people know where they could find you on these glorious mornings and afternoons.
Go ahead, Mike.
You can follow me on Twitter at 216_wildboy. Also catch me on Sundays on Buckeye BS, the flag show with our guy Ryan and Truther as well. And then every Wednesday, we talking all college football right on the Fans Edge at 7:30 Eastern time. So catch me there. And then make sure y'all tapped in on the Discord, man. We be in the Discord too.
Yeah, will do. Appreciate the chat coming through, everybody. I haven't felt this tired since yesterday, so I feel But yeah, man, appreciate. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow. Don't forget, we're the only show in college football that pays you and don't ask you to pay us. But if you do make something, feel free to go ahead and hit that super chat. If you want to find me, I'm Superboy Quentin on Twitter, Flying Johnson on both IG and TikTok. And Minor League Films here got some horror movies coming for you as we're in the month of October. So tune in, man. I'll give you something to recommend and watch with the family. Ron, get us out of here.
Yeah, man, this show cost absolutely. Well, it cost us. It cost everybody watching nothing. So we appreciate all of the people that send us super chats. Maybe we'll use some of the super chat money to pass out BDMG Keurigs to get us some coffee in the mornings because, man, these are rough. A big thank you to everyone for all the super chats today. Everybody for tuning in. If you want to find me, you can find me on Twitter at 2Ts. It's 2_TEES. You can find me here weekdays with my guy Q for the Buckeye Roast at 8 a.m. Monday through Friday. You can catch me Wednesdays in the Bleacher Report app for our preview shows. You can catch me Saturdays for the Best Damn College pregame show on the Menace Sports platform. Post games on the Juck on Bucks post game, and then of course Sundays with my guys Mike and Cam for the flagship Buckeye BS. We appreciate you guys tuning into this episode of the Buckeye Roast. Is there anything we got to get to in the chat?
Yeah, one more super chat.
Yeah, what about super chat from Mike Green, bro? Chill out,
Thanks
man.
I can't be wild boy no more. Being a deacon.
Chill, Mike,
man.
chill, bro.
Man, yeah, man, Mike, you're not putting on for MGK like you need to, bro. Shout out Shaker Heights. Y'all know how not too much, man. Y'all know how this ends, man. It is, of course, always go Bucks and OH.
Ayo.
I own.
Come on,